All right, today we're jumping into a commentary on what's been called one of Jesus's most, well, fearful and terrifying parables. Seriously, this is a story that kicks off with a simple question about mercy, but man, it ends with a warning about judgment that you just can't shake. So it all starts with this really startling phrase. You've got the Apostle Peter coming up to Jesus and he asks, "Hey, how many times should I forgive someone? Like, is 7 times enough?" He probably thought he was being super generous, right? Well, Jesus comes back with this number, and it just completely blows that whole idea out of the water. He's not giving a new number to count to. No, he's showing that real forgiveness, it's supposed to be limitless. It's this huge ocean of grace. And that idea right there, that's what sets the stage for the pretty extreme story that's about to unfold. And that really brings us to the core question of this whole analysis. Is this story just a nice little lesson about being generous? Or is it something way more severe? You see, the key insight here is that this parable isn't just about forgiveness. It's more like a litmus test, A test to see if we've actually understood what grace even is. So yeah, it's less of a gentle suggestion and a lot more like a dreadful warning. So to get this point across to Peter, Jesus doesn't just give him a rule to follow. Nope. He tells a story. And this story is designed to show in no uncertain terms that forgiveness is not about keeping score. It's all about the fundamental posture of our heart. And, as we're about to see, that posture has some serious, eternal consequences. The scene Jesus paints here is, right away, really serious and official. This isn't some casual meeting. The commentary we're looking at calls it an unavoidable reckoning. You've got this powerful king, and he's calling in his servants to settle their accounts, to pay up. And nobody can get out of it. And boom, right away, one servant is brought forward. And the thing is, as the commentary points out, this guy is basically condemned before he even says a word. Why? All because of the absolutely staggering weight of what he owes. And here it is, the debt, 10,000 talents. Now, to be super clear, this number was supposed to sound completely absurd. It was a monstrous, totally unimaginable amount of money. We're talking more than the entire tax revenue of a large province. The analysis we're looking at says it represents a lifetime of failure multiplied into eternity. There is just no way, no hope of ever repaying it. So, faced with this impossible debt, the king makes a command that's, just and fair by the laws of the day. He says, sell the man, sell his family, sell everything he owns to start paying it back. It's stern, for sure, but it's technically fair. But then, in a really stunning turn, something completely unexpected happens. The servant just completely collapses. He falls to the ground and begs, making this desperate promise. But what's so crucial here is that promise itself. Both he and the king know it's impossible. There's no way he could ever pay it all back. This is the plea of a man who has absolutely no other options left. And then, in a moment that should have changed everything for this man, the king is moved with compassion. And listen to this. He doesn't just give him more time. He doesn't just reduce the payment. He forgives the entire debt. All 10,000 talents just wiped clean in a single unbelievable act of mercy. Now, you'd think this guy would be transformed, right? Like floating on a cloud of gratitude for the rest of his life. But no. As the commentary points out, the story takes a really dark and shocking turn, and it happens incredibly fast. This man, fresh from being forgiven an impossible debt, goes out and immediately reveals what was really in his heart the whole time. So what does he do? He finds a fellow servant who owes him 100 pence. And we're talking about a pretty small amount of money here, maybe a few months' wages. It's a debt that could totally be paid back over time. It is nothing, absolutely nothing, compared to what he was just forgiven. And this just perfectly illustrates the insane contrast, doesn't it? On one hand, you have a debt so massive it's basically symbolic of an eternal failure. And on the other, a tiny, trivial amount. The source commentary we're using calls the difference pennies beside mountains. The scale of the hypocrisy here is just staggering. And then comes this really chilling echo. The second servant falls to his knees and begs, using the exact same words the first servant used in front of the king. The posture is the same. The desperation is the same. He's making the exact same plea for mercy. But the forgiven servant's heart? It's like stone. He refuses. He actually grabs his fellow servant by the throat. He's physically choking him and demands payment right now. And when the poor guy can't pay, he has him thrown into prison. The incredible mercy he just received, he turns around and cruelly, viciously refuses to give it. Okay, but this act doesn't go unnoticed. The other servants see the whole thing, and they are filled with what the commentary calls pure moral outrage. They are so deeply upset by this that they go straight to the king and tell him exactly what this wicked servant has done. So, the king summons the servant again. And you better believe his tone is no longer compassionate. Now it's just burning with righteous anger. He reminds the servant of the unbelievable mercy he was just shown, and then he asks this piercing, absolutely damning question. And of course, the servant has no answer. The king's wrath is swift, and it's absolute. Mercy is officially revoked. The unforgiving servant is handed over to the tormentors, and he's condemned to pay back that original, impossible debt. The analysis really emphasizes the chilling finality here. There is no second chance. It's over. And this is where the story pivots. It stops being just a tale about a king and becomes a direct, personal warning. Jesus doesn't leave the meaning up for debate. He applies it directly to everyone listening. And the application is, as the commentary puts it, fearfully clear. So here's the crucial point, the main takeaway from the commentary. This parable teaches that forgiveness isn't just a nice idea. It's a command. Our willingness to forgive other people is directly tied to our own relationship with God. Think about it. To receive his unimaginable mercy, but then turn around and refuse to give our own tiny bit of mercy to someone else, well, that just shows our hearts were never really changed by it in the first place. And Jesus adds one last, absolutely crucial condition. This forgiveness has to come from your hearts. This isn't about just going through the motions or saying the words, "I forgive you." No, it's about a genuine, deep-down release of all that bitterness. Because God, the king in this story, he sees right past the performance. He knows what's really going on in our hearts. And this is the final line that makes this whole parable so absolutely terrifying. Jesus ends with an absolute statement. He doesn't say his father might do this. He says he shall do this. It's a direct, unavoidable, and absolute warning that leaves every single one of us with a pretty profound question. After being shown such infinite mercy ourselves, how can we possibly dare to be merciless to others?